How are you? Welcome back to Ethereal Aeons Activation. I'm Leslie. And if you're new to my channel, I'm so glad you found your way here. I'm calling in all of those who are here to transform their lives, to understand who they are with greater clarity. So today I want to talk to you about something that came up, two words that came up for me yesterday that really fueled me, and I immediately knew I had to come on here and share this with you guys. It had to do with the concept of reinventing yourself. And when I saw these two words together, it was on a thumbnail here on YouTube. I didn't click on the video. I saw these words and I had so many memories come up for me in an instant. And it was actually all of the times that I consciously reinvented myself, which is a lot. In my lifetime, I have reinvented myself so many times. And this started at a young age. This started since junior high. And it's very natural for people when discovering who they are to go through these different phases. But then some of us just are a little extra at it. We went from being punk rocker to being a cheerleader to being a dropout. I mean, these archetypes, there's so many of them. There is such a difference between reinventing yourself and remembering who you truly are, which is what we're going to talk about today, is this difference, because I don't want you to be confused between these two concepts, especially when people try to bring in spirituality into it. And so that's what we're going to talk about today, because to reinvent yourself is to say, I want to be something else. So the question is, are you here to reinvent or are you here to remember? And when we say this reality is a Maya, I believe most people would agree to this. Most people who are in the healing, spiritual fields, the manifestation fields, this reality is Maya on so many levels, not just the Maya that we have been programmed and conditioned to since birth, since conception, essentially, but the Maya also exists within these different vibratory realms of reinventing versus remembrance. And it's such a shame that there's this confusion, because one of them is so consumed by the third dimensional reality and the mindset that comes with that. And one is the yogic philosophy, the more Eastern approach of who truly am I? Because this Maya has also wrapped itself around the consciousness. And once we unwrap that, it unravels. Once that sheath is removed, then we gain clarity. When there's clarity within the self, there is less confusion in the external reality. And the more you brighten up that clarity from within, the more that shines the light of Satya, truth, in the external reality. So you are no longer being consumed by selecting which type of person you would like to be like. Even with like vision boards, like, oh, I want to look like her. I want that stomach. I want those legs. There is such distortion there. Be grateful. First of all, sit in gratitude with what you have already, rather than pushing that aside and I could reinvent myself into that instead. That's what I want to look like. The I, the I, the I. Me, me, me. This is the ego. And so this reinventing concept is completely consumed by the ego. And you can be very successful at it and be able to manifest from this standpoint, which is what's kind of being thrown out there right now. It's like, manifest, reinvent yourself so that you can manifest. We're going to get deeper into this, because you are not here to reinvent. You are here to remember. And I might have said that earlier, but that just rings so much truth, because this is the great stage. This is the great illusion. Our reality as a human being, our senses, everything is always being limited from our scope of how we're able to interpret the reality through our senses. We're not able to see what is truly there. Therefore, we cannot see the entirety. This is when we are going about the reality with our two eyes looking outward. This is before we're able to use the great eye within, our third eye, to really begin to see what's going on. It's no wonder that myself, I've suffered from this in the past, and so many people, this is like the number one thing that comes up is the imposter syndrome. It's no wonder that people are constantly highlighting this struggle they have internally. It is because they are constantly chasing the next versions of themselves instead of going through the manifestation path based on becoming their true self. It's based on reinventing themselves. So things might look great externally, but this is not self-sustained or self-fulfillment that's charging this energy. It's more so of a grabbing, grasping, wanting. Those three words alone are completely ego-based. So we have to know the difference, because we can look at someone else and say, that's what we want because that will make me happy. But as soon as you do that, you've already disconnected from your true essence. You already fell into the trap of illusion. You looked outside of yourself and you said, they have this style, they have this success. That's what I want. There's the disconnect already, just with that mentality alone. So it's really important to retrain yourself and to catch yourself when you're doing this, because everything you see online is designed to make you want to do that. It's designed to naturally bring out that aspect of the ego that, of course, it's going to want that. Look, it's a mansion, it's 10 cars. And yet we see people obtain this time and time again, and there is no true self-fulfillment. There is no dignity. There is always some sort of fallout that happens. How many times have we seen this happen publicly? So many times that it's now pretty obvious what's going on. So this Western approach has failed, and it's failing with the whole Western society as well. All of this is crumbling down. So it's actually quite old school to hear this term. When I saw it, I was like, oh yeah, I remember this whole reinvent yourself. It's quite old school, to be honest. This isn't working, and it's been proven way too many times. So just remember, if what you are trying to channel or manifest is coming from something external, figure out what's really going on, figure out what the foundation of that is, figure out what the root system is on that, and reorientate yourself back within. Because this is a type of capitalistic manifestation, a society validating you type of system, an inner child, a wounded inner child thinking they're going to be fulfilled. It's very often going to be consumer profit driven. And so it's like, it's almost like you're so focused about getting results rather than being rooted in your spirituality, rather than being rooted in self-realization, rather than realizing that you are co-creating. And when it's done from the space within, you're co-creating with that highest possible version of yourself already. You have already made contact. And so always bringing it back home, always bringing it back to the stillness. I wrote down a note here. It's just something that came up a few minutes before I made this video. And I was like, yes, I need to share this too. The Western approach we've been sold is always has to do with something in the external world. Full time, full force to reinvent, rather than learning to come into your own presence. It's not about continuing to reemerge in the physical plane time and time again. Or it's not about the fake it till you make it, keep grinding day after day after day. The concept of coming home to yourself is not mentioned. We need to come home time and time again. We don't need to go out to the concrete jungle time and time again till we make it to that office on the top floor. So the concept of coming home to yourself time and time again, not to this vision you have, which you're desiring because you think it's going to bring you happiness. This is just another veil you're putting up. You're distancing yourself more and more from discovering who you truly are, remembering who you are, removing the illusions. Instead, you're putting on more illusions. So do you see how there's that disconnect? Do you see how there's that lucidity is just not there? You're not awake in the reality. So I wanted to bring that up because I've been through it many times, and depending on your personality and depending on where you're at in your spiritual practice, this can be something that becomes really a common theme in your life, and it always feels exciting when you're coming into it, and that's what fuels this manifestation to come to be, but it's short-lived. And then you don't even know who you truly are. You don't really know your own energy because you're focusing on an other energy. When you focus on your own energy and you remember who you are, this is when you're able to magnetize. And you're magnetizing from a place of truth, from remembrance, from clarity, from lucidity. So when you manifest in this way, whatever you magnetize is going to be exactly what's needed for you in this third dimensional plane. So you want to start this process from there rather than still being who you are at your level of consciousness and strictly focusing on this image that you have, that you saw somewhere else, that you learned from someone else. Learn from yourself. Learn what your greatest version is like first. Remember who you are in this sense. You must, in order to manifest anything from that place where your aura is intact, there is a remembrance of who you are, there is more clarity. You must be your biggest ambassador. You must be the person that's the most excited for yourself to continue discovering who you are and to continue feeling that power and that connection. Everything else is going to seem less interesting because you're already all of it. And it's here and it's now. And so there's a common theme in my life. I received from my still mind. ... You could fill it in. So when you go into meditations and you walk away and you journal, or you just kind of revisit what happened, or maybe you want to share what happened, receiving comes from stillness in the mind. If you truly want to receive remembrance of who you are, if you truly want to start putting these pieces together, because we've been scattered, we've been fractaled. Every trauma, every time we've reinvented ourselves, and life's always changing. Life's always going to reinvent itself as well, but not what's true. What's true has always been and will always be. A little bit on this subject for this video. I hope you guys can relate to what I'm saying, and I truly hope that we can start pulling away from this need to really just be out there. Out where? In the third dimensional reality? No. Come back home. Find the stillness. Be in the presence. That is where you're going to learn, and you don't have to be anyone else. You just have to be there. So thank you so much for watching. Please be sure to like this video if you're still watching, and be sure to hit the bell notification so you're notified when I upload. I'm going to continue on with this subject. We're going to talk about something called Sankalp Shakti. Sankalp Shakti. And this has really helped me in my life as of recently. It's something I discovered. So I can't wait to share this with you to add on to what we're already talking about. Thank you so much and have a beautiful weekend. I will see you soon.